Hello, beautiful people. Today, I wanted to talk about the importance of having a spiritual practice, a spiritual teacher in our spiritual practice and spiritual journey. And the reason why this topic came up is because about 2 days ago, a friend of mine said that he wanted to go on his first retreat, which was a Vipassana retreat. I understand there are different kinds of Vipassanas. He wanted to go to this particular one. And while it is a good thing, and why it is a desirable thing to go to any retreat, really, any meditation retreat, as long as it's safe and proven to be good for the participants, it's a great thing. No doubt about it. At the same time, this particular location that I went to many years ago, I only lasted 3 days. The reason why I lasted only 3 days because I encountered some heavy negativity, and I didn't have the right coach and they didn't have the proper teacher. Um, they actually, for the first few days, they would just show some short YouTube video of someone instructing them how to do it from the screen, which only goes to some extent. After that, you need a one-on-one coaching with a living human being who has experience. And this particular person was saying apparently it's very good, but then it's difficult to carry that meditation in your everyday life. And I shared my experience. I said, yeah, no, this is a very important part of it. You have to go, once you're done, you have to carry that meditation practice with you to your everyday life. And I explained to him how it is done in Zen. It is very important to have a good teacher from a good, solid, proven spiritual teaching. It doesn't really matter what the teaching is as long as it's proven to help people reach enlightenment or awakening or just grow in their spiritual practice. It's a good thing. It is very important. The reason why this topic is so important to me is because for many years I practiced on my own after my previous teacher passed away, thinking that I'm progressing. But when you do it on your own, it's very difficult to, first of all, fall into pit holes, I call them. And also, it's easy to fall into the delusion that you're improving where you're not. And that was the case with me. Yes, I was practicing intensely on my own, on and off. And yes, I was experiencing amazing improvements. But really, for me, that wasn't the proper way of meditation. A teacher would have cut uh, my practice, my improvements, cut a few years of my practice, let us put it that way. So it is very important to have a good coach, not only in meditation, in anything really. If you wanted to lose weight and get fit, it's very important to have a good coach, a fitness coach, someone who's certified, someone has had good feedback from people, someone who has experience helping people, and in anything really, in any path of life, but particularly on the spiritual path, because spiritual path is one of those few paths that you think you're improving, but you may not, even though you feel amazing, and the teacher can see right through it. There really is no substitute to working with somebody who has maybe 50 years, like my teacher, over 50 years of experience in practice in meditation and spirituality. They can really look at you and they can really sniff out your problems. They can only need to look at you and they know, like anything else, right? Like a mother who's raised a few kids can look at a little kid crying and they know right away what's the problem. Is the kid spoiled? Is the kid hurting? Is the kid sick? Is the kid just crying though they're healthy, they're growing teeth? Are they just in a bad mood? They can't tell right away. God bless mothers. Um, so it's very important. But it's also very difficult to find a good teacher because many of those people, the big names, even on the internet, people with millions of followers, they really are not teacher. Yes, they may have practiced something. Yes, they may have had some sort of awakening experience, which very often is not, very often is incomplete. Because even if you have an amazing experience, that doesn't mean anything. It could be just a delusion that seems very real, or even if it's a valid awakening experience, you still have to work years, 20, 30, 40 years on it to make it more mature and to make it right. So if you wanted to, so we have established already that you have to have a teacher. There's no way around it. It's like you wanted to become an Olympian in a sport and you don't have a coach. How are you going to do it? Doing it on your own takes you only a certain point, to some point, right? Watching YouTube videos in any sport only will take you to a certain point. But after that, you need a good coach, not just any coach, an elite coach who's trained Olympians, and they will know how to train you. And a lot of the things that they say might be counterproductive, but because they have the experience, they know what they're talking about, it will be most likely good for you. So if you don't have a teacher and you want to look for a spiritual teacher, I think the best way to make an intention for it, just look around, see what spiritual practices you're drawn to. Are you drawn to Buddhist spirituality? Are you drawn to Christian esoteric teachings? What are you drawn to? And also look at what resources are available to you, close to you. There's so many meditation circles all around North America, and especially in Europe. All you have to do is really Google one and say it. But also within Buddhism, let us say, or Christianity, or any spiritual practice, there are many other versions of it, right? In Buddhism, you have Theravada, I believe it's called. Then you have Zen. Then you have Tibetan. Then you have all those different things, and they're very different, right? And a former teacher of mine used to say, it's like taking a wife as a man. Yes, there are a lot of beautiful women there that are suitable, but there's one that you just click with, right? Like a partner. So it is with a spiritual teaching. Just look around and feel it. Don't think it like intellectual, but feel to see what feels close to you. And see what's within your proximity, maybe a short drive or maybe in your own town. And when we open to it with our intention, things will happen. It may take a few days. It may be just instantly. It may be a few days, a few months. But by intently focusing, wanting a proper teacher, wanting a proper teaching, things will manifest. At some point in my practice, after trying for 2 years to really go deeper and then getting out of it, I said, look, this is nuts. I have to have a teacher who knows what I'm doing wrong. And because of that, I gave up the practice that I was doing, which was a form of shikantaza by another teaching, just sitting still, meditation. I gave it up, and that practice meant the world to me. There was nothing more that I enjoyed in life than doing that practice. I gave it up and started doing zazen on my own before going to a retreat, because I wanted to go further in my practice. I just didn't want to feel good. I just wanted to go deeper in my practice and improve. So just be open to it. Go to some meditation circles. See what teaching you feel close with, what clicks with you, and see what teaching is valid. Now, I want to make a few very important points about finding a good teacher and good teaching. First of all, with the teaching, it has to be a solid teaching, a traditional teaching that, yes, it may be adjusted to North Americans, but it has to trace its way back to the source. For example, when I practice Zen, Rinzai Zen, when I'm at a retreat, every morning at 4 a.m., we start chanting the names of the light holders, the person who's the teacher's teacher who's died, and then we go all the way back to the Buddha himself, right? So you have to be able to trace it back to this original teaching. You don't want one of those YouTube teachers, quote unquote Zen teachers or Buddhist teachers, who practice some sort of mixture of practices just because they came up with it. It rarely works. Yes, it might improve you in your practice, but it won't take you all the way, likely. So I would caution against it. So you want a teaching that is solid, but also with a teacher who has received transmission from his or her teacher, and his teacher and her teacher got transmission from the previous teacher. That transmission is likened to lighting a candle. We all have the potential when someone lights our candle with years of practice. So you want someone who has been authorized by that particular teaching, whatever the teaching may be, to be teaching it. So they have had in Zen, for example, they must have had, in Rinzai at least, they must have had a deep awakening experience or more, at least one, and that has to be authenticated by a teacher. And then after years of practice, they pass in quite a few koans, so they know where they're at, the potential teacher is at. And then after years, they're given potentially the authority to teach. This is very important because you don't want to spend years working with a teacher who don't know what they're doing. So this is the next step. And furthermore, in my experience, you have to work with a teacher who has at least one or more students who him or herself has taught who have reached some level of awakening. The theory is easy. Interpreting text, Buddhist text or otherwise, is very easy. Anybody can do it. The AI can do it. But to reach that level of awakening where you can see it in that person, or it's just like it's been authenticated, it's a whole different level. So you want the teacher who's not only from the proper teaching, validated teaching, Rinzai Zen, for example, or any other teaching, it doesn't matter if it has to suit you. Then you want a teacher who's been authenticated to teach, who has received transmission from his or her teacher. And then you want someone who has successful students, where it's very important because you can look at them and say, hey, this person, this young man, this young woman has received this awakening experience. I can receive it too. And for me, that was a big deal. I even, like a few months ago, I picked up just one particular book, because it was recommended to me that it has enlightenment experiences. And I had to read just a chapter on enlightenment experiences just to convince myself that, hey, Joe or Josephine have received this enlightenment experience after like 5, 6, 10 years of 20 years of practice. I can too. You have to have faith, solid, unshakable faith in your practice and your teacher and the teaching. Because otherwise you'll be just practicing and being happy and not getting anywhere. When I don't want that to happen to anybody. So they must have successful students that have been, their experience has been authenticated, and you can just see it in them. You just know. If you go to a place where a teacher has students that have practiced for 10, 20 years, you can just see it in them. They don't need to say anything. You see, like, I see this in this person, I want to have it. And you're entitled to have it. Any human being is entitled to have that experience, that ripeness of being human. As the Buddha said, the first thing he said after enlightenment said, all beings have this Buddha nature, this God nature, this Christhood. In Christianity they call it. Other religions they call it different things. So you want to see that, and you want to have it. And just a caution, another thing I want to share is you don't want to be a perpetual shopper of teacher and teachings, right? You want to find someone solid and stick with them, preferably stick with them. You can go, even if I go to another retreat because one is not available or one is canceled, like it is right now with me. I ask my teacher, say, hey, I know there's nothing available for this month. There is such and such retreat from our teaching somewhere else. Do you mind if I go? What are your thoughts? And she says, oh yeah, this is good. Don't go to this place because the teaching is not that great. Stick with this. And that guidance for me is just absolutely priceless. And I hold on to that advice with my dear life. I don't care what anybody says. The teacher that I work with, I trust. The teaching I trust, and always bring the results. I don't care about anything else. I really don't. I don't care what's in vogue. I don't care if a friend says they saw Jesus sitting there and talking with them at the place and wants to drag me there. I don't care. No, I'm on my path. That's good enough for me. Thank you. So it's easy. Another trap in working with a teacher and teaching is to think that the grass is greener on the other side, because we have to go through a lot of pain. It's really mental pain. It's really, I wouldn't call it a pain, but the difficulty of letting go of our bad conditioning. And it's painful. It's not like physically painful. It's not really mentally, but it's just like, it's difficult. It's difficult to do the same thing again and again for years, every day. But this difficulty is what we need. So there is always a temptation to think some other teacher is better, some other teaching gives you enlightenment easier. Don't do that, right? Unless there's a good reason why you have to change teachers and teaching, a valid reason that takes you a few months to figure out. Yeah, it's like divorce. We know what it wants to get divorced, but sometimes separation is the best thing. Until then, I would highly recommend to just stick with one teacher and one teaching, because the grace is not greener on the other side. Nobody is going to give you enlightenment. So you have to take it through your practice day and night. Nobody is going to give you happiness. You have to earn that happiness through your own work, your own homework. And that's the reality of anything in life, really. There was a show called The Biggest Loser, I guess. And the reason why I bring it up, I never really watched it. I know about it, but this people that are very much obese. They go on television. Who loses the most amount of weight in a certain time, 3 months to 6 months, they win like big money prize. And someone went back and checked on everybody, and almost every single person not only regained what they had lost, but he gained even more weight on top of that. Why? Because they wanted the quick way out, because they wanted the instant gratification, because they wanted to lose weight right away. It doesn't work that way. When people lose 50, 100, 200 pounds, they do it through a long stretch of time, little by little, through a proven method, whatever it may be. And that's where success is. Isn't anything, in music, in sports, in getting rich, in anything. So that's something that I always keep in my mind. And I say like, well, I'm not happy with my practice today. Well, how long does it take to lose 50, 100 pounds? At least a year. So it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes practice. And nobody else will give that to you instantly. And that's a fact of life. I came from a bad place in terms of my practice, because I never thought enlightenment was possible, really, because with the previous teacher that I worked, who was amazing, helped me a lot, but there wasn't really anybody to look up to and say, look, this person has reached this awakening experience, or in Zen they call it Kensho, and Rinzai Zen, and I could think and say, hey, I can do it too. So it took me a lot of deliberate work, a lot of reading, a lot of convincing myself, a lot of, not convincing myself, but getting rid of negative conditioning to be open to the possibility that yes, enlightenment is possible to everybody, including myself. And that really improved my practice. So when working with a teacher, there's no substitute with having a good teacher. I made a mistake of practicing by my own for a couple of years. And while I improved, a teacher is important. Because the teacher, day one, they saw what was holding me back and they shared it, and it took me a couple of months to work with it. And someone with 50 years of experience, again, can just sniff out any problems that they may have, and they may guide you, and they will guide you, not me. And also you can look up to that person and they will give you encouragement. They say, just keep on working, you're on the right track. Even when you feel down, even when you feel like quitting. And that's just priceless. So where to start? Just look up YouTube videos and different teachings, different teachers, see who you vibe with. But also there's an American Zen Teachers Association, I believe. I'm sure they may have one in Europe. They actually do have one in Europe, I know that. But that's a good start. If you want Zen, if you want Buddhism, I don't even think Zen is Buddhism. Zen is a practice, really. So you can belong to any other religions, practice Zen. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of Catholic monks that are picking up Zen practice in their meditation. But anyways, American Zen as Teachers Association will be a good place to start, because I have been told, for one thing, they're all vetted, they're all proven to be good teachers, but also, the other thing that you keep in mind, whatever center you go to, make sure there's an independent review system. So there's a conflict of interest. It's God forbid any freedom of abuse. They have a system where somebody else from outside reviews and investigates that. And American Zen Association does have it. Unfortunately, a lot of Tibetan centers that do not have it. There are a lot of bad centers out there. I don't want to name names, but just make sure you read the reviews of any center that you want to go and check out. But if you have the intention of finding a good teacher and a good teaching, the universe will open it up to you, and I have no doubt you will succeed. Anyways, best of luck on your spiritual path. If you have any questions, and if I left anything out, drop me a comment and I'll make sure I'll respond. Other than that, have an amazing and blessed day, blessed week, blessed month, blessed year. And talk to you next time. Goodbye.